The Cavs tried, but it was too little, too late.
Once again, the Cleveland Cavaliers fall in a big game, losing to the Boston Celtics 109 to 98 on a Sunday afternoon special. Make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, and give us a call. Leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on air 216-260-3433. Noah, once again, we go down 20 plus to the Boston Celtics. Tell me if you've heard this one again. We tried to make a comeback, but we fell short in the end.
Yeah, this game was really weird for me because I wanted them to win. I, of course, always want the Cavs to win, but I really wanted them to win this because there were so many good moments down the stretch of this Cavs game that made me want to talk about them positively, give them their credit, tell them they fought back, and they just couldn't get it done. I think about the oop from James Harden to Evan Mobley that was literally full court. Like,
Full
that
court,
is a
yeah.
moment I wish we could be sitting here talking about in a positive light. But here we are yet again talking about the Cavs losing on the national stage to one of the teams that have been a thorn in their side continuously throughout this whole core four experience. Because I believe we're still in that mindset just with James Harden instead of Darius Garland. But it's frustrating that we lost this game. We came out, we started up 7-0. I think we were up 11-3, and then it started to get really ugly. What did you think of the game, E?
I think it's interesting you bring up the core four because, Mobley had 24 points, Mitch had 30, Harden had 19. This isn't a tale of our stars not showing up. This is a tale of the role players bricking wide open shots. When Merrill, Tyson, Schroeder, and Bryant combined to go 7 from 27 from the field and 4 for 18 from 3-point range, you're not going to beat a good Celtics team. And I want to say this very clearly. We can also not rely on coming back against this Celtics team in particular. Like, I do not want to meet them in the playoffs right now because I'm not sure how we'll fare to this team. Now, a couple things that stood out to me. Obviously, that 10-point second quarter that was absolutely abysmal. I'm not sure what you expect from there. And for the record, our stars beat their stars. Brown and Tatum went 7 for 17 and 6 for 16, respectively. But their bench, Pritchard, Garza, Hauser, they were 12 from 23 from beyond the arc. So those were the differences in this game, but you just can't dig yourself into a hole like that and expect to get out of it.
That's the name in the game of what we've seen the Cleveland Cavaliers do in these primetime matchups. You mentioned the second quarter. At one point, they were talking on the broadcast how they were 1 for 19 with 4 minutes left to go in the second quarter. I mean, it was the worst
Yeah.
stretch of basketball I think I've seen in quite some time. And I've seen my Cleveland Cavaliers do this before. I've seen this happen in these big moments. So that's what makes it frustrating. I thought we would be able to have a nice conversation about how they got tougher and how they didn't give up because of some of the new names we brought in and Schroeder and of course Harden and whatnot. And you got some good moments down the stretch. Like, they fought, they came out, they wanted to win it. They just still have not been able to get over the hump. It starts to make me wonder. It starts to make me think. We have the conversation. Do they need another piece a lot? And I know
Well,
I'm
hold
jumping.
on. 5 more minutes or, not the worst half of basketball I've probably ever seen. We beat this Celtics team. So my question is, why are we getting off to such slow starts, having such terrible quarters? That's what we need to. It's not a personnel problem. I think we have the players. If we had 5 more minutes in this game, we probably win the game. The problem is we didn't, and we got off to that abysmal start, and we had a terrible first half. So how do we fix that? They have a tendency to do this in big games and afternoon start games as well. And my question is why? Like, where is the drive not there for? Like, I just don't understand because clearly we have the personnel to go toe to toe. So I don't think it's a one piece thing. I just think that I don't know. I don't know if it's motivation. I don't have the answer, but that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and we've seen it, whether it be changing guards with Garland and Harden, of course, changing coaches. We've seen it, them still do this. This has been a consistent issue of these weird slow starts or weird quarters, especially in these big primetime matchups. It's what is the answer? Because I think, very truthfully, in my heart of hearts, I think that almost this whole roster at this point have the want and the desire to win and go get a championship. And that includes guys like Jared Allen for me at this point, with how he's played for the most part since James Harden has come in. But why does it keep happening? Is it I don't have an answer for that. Is it maybe it is a talent thing, and that brings me back to my thought process of are we another piece away still? And then you go down the LeBron rabbit hole because he might come here next year. But I know I'm also getting ahead of myself when I say that because it is still very early into James Harden being here on the Cavs. And maybe they continue to grow and look better moving forward. But you have a game like this and you see the tendencies you have seen with this team, no matter who it is, no matter if they have Garland out there, Harden out there, Schroeder being an asshole out there, it doesn't matter. They are still frustrating and they still go out there and have these weird quarters, weird halves that put you too far down to try to come back and win a basketball game.
You know what I think it is? What this game came down to in particular? It's
What's
not
that?
players, it's coaching. And this isn't a knock to Kenny Atkinson. I like Atkinson. First of all, I think his rotations need to be better. You need to stagger Mitchell and Harden a little more and surround them with players that can shoot the ball. Hopefully, Struess helps when he's back. Obviously, dealing with health issues. But for me, I, I think that Boston's coach is going to win Coach of the Year, first of all. But you see it in how they play the game. They do little things really, really well, and you can tell that they practice with intention, like off-ball movement. They use picks better. They set their picks better. They hide their fouls better. Like they're just a smarter basketball team than the Cavs. That's my takeaway watching these two teams. It's not that they're better. It's not that they have better players. They play smarter. I don't see that. I've bemoaned this for a long time now that we don't move off ball well. And first of all, Harden at the end of this game was absolutely gassed. I don't know if you realize, like 38 plus minutes, you could tell on both ends of
Yeah.
the court he just didn't have it anymore. He did have 10 assists, by the way. He was good in this game. But I think it comes down to coaching. And I hate to say that because I like Kenny Atkinson, but Boston was just the better coach team today.
But what change like what do you do to fix that is still my question because I don't think changing away from Kenny Atkinson's the answer by any means
No,
whatsoever. I
no,
mean, he's
no.
yeah, but, like, what is the answer? What is the solution? Because there's only so much more of this that the fan base, the front office, ownership's going to take until we have another big drastic change or whatnot. And maybe I'm overreacting a little bit too, because again, it's early and it doesn't truly matter until we hit the playoffs. And I recognize that and I realize that too. But when we continue to see the same structural team issues like we did in this game, it makes you think, what is the issue? How do we fix it? How do we move forward to go and get another ring as the Cleveland Cavaliers?
And I want to be clear, if it weren't for the fact that we missed 16 straight threes, I think it was, then this is probably a much tighter game. I think you miss a lot of good shots early, and then you start taking bad shots in the second because you're playing catch up. That's the biggest issue here. Our inability to hit shots is why we lost this game. But even though we were getting some open looks, again, the off ball movement, things like that, creating shots, we struggled with that, and we have been struggling with that.
Yeah, I know. And maybe that is, again, it comes down to coaching, and that's the answer. And we need to be coached better. We need to have better sets. Need to have better rotations. There was a point in time, Evan Mobley wasn't on the floor as obviously our best defender. And we were cutting the score to within 8, within 9, whatever it was. And as our best defender, we needed extra defensive help. And you don't put the reigning defensive player of the year out there. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. It was actually that small ball lineup where they have Dean Wade playing the 5, which to me is still crazy, even though, yes, Dean Wade is a pretty solid defender. He was in foul trouble in this game pretty early and often as well, which was weird for him. So I don't know. The rotations are frustrating. The loss is frustrating. I think the only thing that has me continuing to keep positivity is the fact that we are so early on into the Harden, Mitchell, Mobley, Allen combination of the core four right now that hopefully we could get more out of it when it matters most, which is, of course, April, May, the playoffs.
I was gonna say, yeah, we might be early on in that pairing, but playoffs are right around the corner, so they need to figure it out quickly. I will say though, I mean, look at what we did. We beat the Knicks, we beat the Pistons without Spida in both those games. I think that a cold streak like we had in the first half, I think it was like 9% beyond the arc. That's not going to hold up. That's not going to hold true in most games. But we've seen this time and time again where we do get off to cold starts, particularly against Boston for some reason. I'll say that I hope we can avoid them at all costs in the playoffs. But this is still a good Boston team. Like, let's not forget. They won a championship a couple years ago. It's not like they're not a good team, and that system that they have is pretty solid as well. But the shooting, I mean, same old story. How are we going to do when we get to the playoffs and we need these guys to hit shots? Because again, Mitchell, Harden, Mobley, they all went out there and did their thing, but it clearly just wasn't enough.
Let me ask you this. I know we're at Cavs, we're at Cleveland Sports Page, but Jason Tatum coming back is huge news. I mean, it's what, 10 months from him rupturing his Achilles, and it's quick recovery. What have you thought about Tatum so far? It makes me wince when he's on the court because it feels like he's obviously rushing it back because they're playing so well right now. What are your thoughts on Tatum?
I mean, my first and foremost thoughts are that they don't really need him to win. That's my biggest takeaway. I don't think they need him to win games. Like I said, that system's really good over there. I trust in the medical professional saying that he's okay to go, though. It's pretty
Right.
clear that he looks just fine. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it doesn't bother me, or I'm not thinking that way. But they don't need him, so I think they would keep him out if they needed to.
I think that's an overarching feeling with like in the NBA circle, NBA Twitter, NBA on social media, whatever, is just be nervous about Jason Tatum being out there. I mean, props to him for getting back and having such a fast recovery. I think about a guy like Deshaun Watson, who, of course, re tears it in his recovery process. So he's very lucky that he's able to be back and playing in the regular season, let alone, I didn't even know if he would play if they made a playoff run. Do you think the Celtics are the favorite right now in the East, especially with Tatum back, though?
That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I can't answer that right now, but they're certainly up there. I think it's a handful of teams, including us, that anything can happen, sort of thing, come
Yeah.
playoff time. But yeah, I wouldn't count them out. That's for sure.
They are the odds favorite for now. As soon as the Tatum news broke, they went up. It's like they're 230, we're 245. The Knicks are like 260. Like it's very close. The four of us are all really neck and neck up there, the top four teams in the East. So we'll see what happens. It'll make the NBA playoffs extremely interesting. That's for damn sure. But hopefully it pans out well for the Cavs. But it scares you, especially when you have a game like this where you see the same consistent issues, just to bring it all back around, you know?
Certainly, and that's why they play the games. I mean, it's going to be an interesting playoff series. I think that we're obviously going to be very disappointing anything short of like an Eastern Conference Finals appearance. And I think
Yeah.
that this team has it in them, but how are they going to contend and continue to play together? The lineups need to be, I think they're key here. Like, you have Harden and Mitchell that can probably run the floor without one another. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I'm not saying that the majority of the time they should be, staggered or whatever, but I think we should look at that approach a little bit because it could help us win some games. But I don't know. I'm not a coach. We'll see what happens, but I'm still feeling okay. It's just disappointing once again to tune in to that primetime Sunday matchup and come away with a loss like that.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what the Cavs do playoff wise, especially with the rotations, the players, the amount of players you play in the playoffs getting slimmer, what that'll look like with Kenny Atkinson, how able he'll be able to stagger, of course, Harden and Donovan Mitchell and make that work in a playoff set when you're playing eight or nine guys max. It'll be really interesting to see that. And there was one last little tidbit of news that happened over the weekend. And I don't know if you saw, but James Harden had a wine bottle signing at Speedway in Berea. Did you see the videos? Did you see the aftermath?
I did not.
Check this out because it was a madhouse in front of this gas station. James Harden in his lumberjack outfit, just signing Speedway cups and bottles of wine and doing his thing and saying what's up to the Cleveland fans. Really cool moment for him to get into the community, I guess. It's just so random that it was a Berea Speedway of all places.
On that note, the debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.